Good morning, Mr. Hunt.
I find the Mission Impossible movies to be more than the sum of their parts. And by that I mean I'm not trying to say the stories are bad, but when I think of this franchise as a whole, I don't think so much of this.
I want $150,000 today.
No, that's quite out of the question.
I think of this.
That's right.
It's springtime, the weather's turned, the flowers are blooming, and that means it's time for summer blockbuster season. Because summer blockbuster season starts in the spring. I mean, it makes sense if you live in the United States, but maybe it doesn't make sense if you don't. It probably doesn't make sense if you live on the other side of the equator, but here we are! Boy, I hope this audio isn't clipping out.
Here we are now, entertain us, I feel stupid.
So expect spoilers for all of the Mission Impossible movies, except for Dead Reckoning Part 2, or The Final Reckoning, or whatever you reckon it's called. With me today is Charlie. He does not have anything to contribute, so we'll just keep moving right along. The Mission Impossible franchise started when I was a wee lad way back in 1996. I finally saw the first one whenever it came to premium television, so probably around 1999. And I gotta tell you, the first Mission Impossible kind of has it all. Obviously the movie's cast is bananas, and I mean it's got one of the great openings in action movie history. But it's got a solid plot too.
Drake Hotel, Chicago.
It's just a movie I really enjoy and I go back to. I've watched it a fair few times over the years, and I enjoy it every time. I just think it's a great movie. It's kind of the beginning of Tom Cruise's action movie career, Days of Thunder and Top Gun aside, because he really started as sort of a leading man character actor, Born on the 4th of July, A Few Good Men, Rain Man. Even his breakout role is very character driven. Risky Business, that's what it's called. Risky Business. So old. But I love the first Mission Impossible. I think it's fantastic. Its depiction of email is not realistic even for the time, but like, what are you gonna do? Movies do that a lot where they just kind of invent their own software and you know, like it looks kind of silly. And I always used to criticize this moment in Contact.
Can you clean it up any more than that fish?
I'm working on it.
You just click a little tick box and the computer just does all this amazing stuff. But with some AI-driven software, it does kind of work that way now. So they got me there. You win this round, Contact. So the year is 2000. John Woo is blowing up stateside. And we get Mission Impossible 2. And, you know, as soon as you know, just... It is the bro of the Mission Impossible movies. It's the Mission Impossible movie that walks into your place. It's like, hey, bro. Do it, bro. Let's crush them. So Mission Impossible 2 is kind of the movie that, in my mind, cements Tom Cruise as like an adrenaline junkie. He's doing all this like wacky stuff and his hair's whipping all over the place. But like, it looks cool. Like, it was kind of new and exciting for the time.
To go to bed with a man like him, she's a woman. She's got all the training she needs.
And it was just interesting that they chose to take the franchise in a totally different direction, just like a totally different look, a totally different style. It's not a movie I go back to much, but like I can kind of remember it fondly. Big gap now, and finally in 2006 we get Mission Impossible 3. Probably some development hell there, but for me, this is the one that's probably the most forgettable, which is strange because Philip Seymour Hoffman is one of my absolute favorite actors of all time. See, I think Charlie's down. You're down with that, right, buddy? But honestly, like, I totally forgot about the whole rabbit's foot thing. Like, you kind of end up in some J.J. Abrams mystery box filmmaking storytelling that I'm just not very into myself.
Like Star Wars, you got the droids, they meet the mysterious woman. Who's that? We don't know. Mystery box, you know. Then you meet Luke Skywalker, he gets the droid, you see the holographic image, you learn, oh, it's a message, you know, she wants to, you know, find Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's her only hope. But who the hell's Obi-Wan Kenobi? Mystery box.
I think maybe there's like a room and there's like a bomb, but like the bombs are like little round circles that like roll around on the ground. They kind of are reminiscent of the explosives from The Rock. Not The Rock, the film The Rock. Anyway, for my money, Mission Impossible 3 is not memorable. It didn't work at the time. I doubt it works now, but what are you going to do? Let's move on. 2011's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is sort of a soft reboot for the franchise. I think this is the one that has Jeremy Renner in it, right?
Oh, it's Jeremy Renner. This is the one with Jeremy Renner.
Like Alec Baldwin is the M of the movie, or did that come later? Is this the one where it's Anthony Hopkins is the boss? He's like, it's not mission difficult, it's mission impossible.
Difficult to be a walk in the park for you.
And you were doing so well up until then.
Is that this one? So this is kind of where I get a little murky. Like, at least I remember Mission Impossible 3 is the Philip Seymour Hoffman one. Like, who's the villain in Ghost Protocol? Like, I have no idea.
Who is that guy? Why does this, like, 60-year-old man want to have a fist fight with Tom Cruise?
And this is kind of the format that they kind of stick with going forward, which is what I've come to call, what's Tom gonna do this time? Matt Damon has this famous story he likes to tell.
I go to the safety guy. I tell him this is what I'm going to do. The safety guy says, you can't do that. That's too dangerous. So I get another safety guy.
And that's kind of where, once you lose the numbers and start getting into the subtitles, this era of Mission Impossible is what insurance carrier can we find to insure Tom Cruise to do whatever crazy thing that he wants to do. I think Ghost Protocol is the movie where he's like running around on the side of the building and they're trying to get the face cover thing to work, or like something happens. Maybe this is the movie that ends in the stacked car garage with the car elevator, I think.
Right, the car elevator. But which one is this? I still don't know. I just pulled it up. I'm still not sure which one this is. What's in that briefcase? I have no idea. I can't remember. I remember, like, I saw this at, like, the AMC Times Square. I remember where I saw the movie. I can't remember what's in the briefcase. Who is that guy?
I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. But the thing about Ghost Protocol is it's sort of a soft reboot in the sense that it shares some DNA with the first one, is that like they're out on their own. But I mean, they're always out on their own. That's kind of the premise of Mission Impossible in the first place, is that they don't necessarily have access to all of the American government's fabulous technology and stuff like that unless they like steal it, basically, which makes it more exciting. Anytime they invoke that the way they do in Ghost Protocol is kind of like hitting it over the head a little too hard for me personally, but I do like this movie. 2015 Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Which one is this one? Let's look at the franchise Wikipedia page summary. Ethan Hunt comes under threat from the Syndicate. Faced with the IMF's disbandment, Hunt assembles his team for their mission to prove the Syndicate's existence and bring the organization down by any means necessary, which is kind of what he always does. Is this the one with like the bookstore and like the little box, and like Ethan gets trapped in the booth? He's like banging on the phone booth and he wants to get out, or I'm not sure which one this is, but I'm sure I enjoyed it while I was watching it. You know what? I'm going to say Rogue Nation is the one that ends where they capture the guy in the box, which means Mission Impossible Fallout is going to be the one where they have to break out the guy that they trapped in the box at the end of the previous film so they can do something, and like there are other like really cool stunts. Fallout, I'm gonna say, maybe is the one with Henry Cavill and they like jump out of the plane and it turns out Henry Cavill's a bad guy. Did Jeremy Renner end up being a double agent too? I can't remember. What happened to Jeremy Renner? Does he die? Does he get lost like in the sandstorm or something? I have no idea what happened. Let's read the synopsis, shall we? When an IMF mission to recover plutonium goes wrong, the world is faced with the threat of the Apostles, a terrorist group formed by former members of the Syndicate. As Ethan Hunt takes it upon himself to fulfill the original mission, the CIA begins to question his loyalty and his motives. Kind of like the first one, or kind of like all of these movies. Like, I don't think this guy who constantly risks his life to fulfill the missions we give him, where like if he's caught, like we'll just let him rot in prison forever, is very loyal. And you know, like, you kind of have to turn that part of your brain off and watch Tom Cruise do crazy stuff and enjoy it. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 2023. This is one of those situations where like Tom Cruise freaked out on somebody for breaking COVID protocol, and then they like leak the audio of him like freaking out about it.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us! Because they believe in us and what we're doing! I'm on the phone with every studio at night, insurance companies, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you
And I'm sure whoever leaked it thought it was like, oh, everybody's going to be so mad at Tom. And if you're like, I don't know, it sounds like he was trying to protect people's lives. Whatever you want to say about Tom Cruise personally, I don't think this is one of the instances where you're trying to keep people from catching a deadly virus is the sort of situation where you're going to come down on the guy. Like, probably not. Okay, so I kind of know what happens in this one. Haley Atwell has something to do with something, and I think like they're trying to get a thumb drive for a lot of the movie. And like Tom Cruise like rides around on a motorcycle and like he does this crazy stunt that they were like publicizing the behind the scenes like a lot before the movie came out, because again, like Mission Impossible as a franchise is very much tied to the idea of what's Tom Cruise gonna do next.
So there are three very funny things to see in this look behind the scenes. The terror on director Christopher McQuarrie's face.
I saw Canopy.
Tom Cruise in movie star mode, taking the time to be like, no, you're the real stars, after he just rode a motorcycle off a cliff.
See you guys. Thank you.
And then Tom Cruise downshifting back into stuntman mode.
I think I can hold to the bike a little longer.
And yeah, like I think like a bunch of people came back for this one that like maybe we hadn't seen in a few movies. Like Florence Pugh was like the daughter of the lady who was the bad guy in the first one, and now like she's back in this one because like all these different people are interested in the entity, or different people have thumb drives or they want the thumb drive, or people are trying to buy the thumb drive, or I really think there was a thumb drive in this movie. My point is that Tom Cruise like rides around on a motorcycle and like does this big crazy jump, and there's also like a really great car chase, and there's also the fantastic climax on the train, which was also really cool. Maybe if we go back one movie, that's when he does all the crazy helicopter stunts. I'm not sure. And now we come to the soon to be released Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, or The Final Reckoning. What do we have? Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning 2025. Okay, that is what it's called. We solved that mystery. And I'm sure I will see this movie and I will come tell you about it. And I'm sure I will tell you that I enjoyed it and that Tom Cruise did a bunch of crazy things and that I enjoyed all the performances and that I can't really remember the plot, or I maybe had a little trouble following the plot, but like it didn't matter because it was clear who the good guys were, it was clear who the bad guys were, and at the end the good guys won, and you know, whatever. And we'll see if Tom Cruise dies at the end of this movie
One last time.
or not, and if this movie isn't really the last one, or it is, because at some point Tom Cruise says it wasn't the last one, even though it has final in the title.
Is it the final reckoning?
They don't call it final for nothing.
But also you assume, like at some point, adrenaline aside, like Tom Cruise has got to stop doing this stuff. Like at some point, like you just, I mean, like look at me, and Tom Cruise is like 25 years older than me. You just got to stop at some point. You know, like they talk about in The Dark Knight.
He doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life. How could he?
And I'm sure that will be what I will come back to you with, but maybe not. Who knows? Maybe they'll do something extraordinary. And like they have extraordinary people, they have extraordinary resources, they have extraordinary talent. Who knows what the last Mission Impossible will bring us?
We'll see some movies.
Once we get to Brad Bird soft rebooting the franchise and then Christopher McQuarrie taking over as director for the duration, it's not that the Mission Impossible series got bad, it just got predictable. It got maybe a little thin on story and a little bit long on stunts, which is fine. I mean, that works fine for me. They're just not necessarily movies I need to rewatch a lot or ever. I don't think I've ever watched any of them a second time except for the first one. They're fun, like I enjoy them. I really like to watch Tom Cruise run face first toward the camera. He's really good at it. But once you get to 4 and forward, I do have a lot of which one's which. And again, I'm not trying to say that the Mission Impossible movies are bad. I'm just saying that I don't find them particularly memorable. There's just kind of a 4 through 8 or 9 or however many of the movies there are that just kind of fit into one big solid ball. And I guess like watching the first one or the second or the third one, those are like very specific moods I would be in. The third one would be about like rediscovery because I just can't remember anything about the movie at all. You know, the second one is that bro early 2000s culture that would be interesting to revisit. Do it, bro, let's crush them. The first one to me is an action classic. I love the first one. But the rest of the ones, if I wanted to watch, I just pick one at random. You know, maybe like, oh, who's the guest star this time? Like, oh yeah, I want to rewatch the Henry Cavill one. I want to rewatch the one. I think Florence Pugh is in one of them, like a lot. more than she is in the other ones or something like that. You know, I want to watch the one with the guy with the crazy eyes. You know, I want to watch the Hallie Atwell one. I want to watch the Jeremy Renner one. So I'm not here telling you that the Mission Impossible movies are bad, because they're not. Maybe the third one was bad. I can't remember. I mean, that's like a bad sign when I can't remember. And the second one was extremely goofy. And that doesn't make it bad. There's a big difference between what I like, what I don't like, and what I think works, and what I objectively think does not work. I wouldn't say something was bad unless your movie was just like fundamentally broken. And none of the Mission Impossibles feel that way. Maybe the third one does, because again, just gone. It's all those files have been permanently deleted. Maybe I will rewatch that one. Do I have any of the Mission Impossible movies?
It turns out I have two, but I'm going to give myself a pass because I bought this when a secondhand store closed and I bought 1,000 movies for like $100.
I am a big fan of physical media, and the fact that I don't have any of the Mission Impossible movies kind of says something. I think you could argue that it says more about me than it says about the films. I think the Mission Impossible series will be remembered for what it was, not for the specific films outside of maybe the first one or even the second one. But it will be remembered as this vehicle where Tom Cruise ran straight toward the camera and did incredible stunts. And I think that's probably all, particularly this subtitle series. Once we get to the point where the movies have subtitles, I just don't think people are going to go back and say, oh yeah, like this one's the best. But maybe the last one will be the best. Maybe the submarine stuff is going to blow our minds. But I think at the end of the day, when we look back at Mission Impossible when it's finally over, assuming this is the end, we'll just say, yeah, good action franchise. No more, no less. The first one's a classic, and I think that'll do it. That'll do, Tom Cruise. That'll do. What do you think, Charlie? You got anything? Charlie? Anything? No? No. Well, I think you'll probably see Charlie joining me here a lot more. Charlie just joined our family. The other animals we have are not interested in this sort of thing.
I'll tell you that for free.
And we'll see you in the Saylaco Theater. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop. He's not awake.